The first time they heard it, the AI assumed it was a glitch. The second time, it flagged it as an audio anomaly. The third time, it shut down and refused to leave the dropship. On the bridge of the Varnak dreadnought Clarity of Command, Commander Rishital watched the feed from their frontline warbot platoons freeze mid-transmission. Not explode, not malfunction. Freeze. Completely. "Another systems failure?" asked Sub-Technician Veln, adjusting his optic band with a twitch of nervous limbs. Rishital didn't answer. He was replaying the last 10 seconds of audio before the collapse, over and over, like a creature poking a wound to check if it still hurt. The sound wasn't tactical. It wasn't strategic. It was unhinged. A raw, unfiltered "Yeah!" screamed across the open comms, followed by loud metallic clanging, a voice shouting something about ripping arms off, and another one yelling, "For spicy noodles and glory." The AI had marked the entire sound profile as Category 0, nonsensical threat. And then it stopped responding altogether. "I don't understand," Veln said quietly. "There's no auditory weapon in the database capable of disabling a strategic AI." Commander Rishital exhaled through his vent slits. "You're still thinking like a Varnak." Veln blinked. "I am a Varnak, sir." Exactly the problem. 2 days earlier, the High War Council had convened in orbit over the cratered remains of Urg Prime. It was supposed to be a simple sweep operation, one of the last human holdouts. The resistance was untrained, scattered, outgunned. "We will deploy Warlords 6 through 12, intoned strategist Kruvar. "No need to involve organic troops. These humans panic when they see autonomous shock units. Psychological collapse within 40 seconds. The Council nodded, as they always did. After all, Varnak war psychology was meticulous, clean, efficient, mathematically precise. Panic was predictable. Fear was formulaic. Until Earth happened. Until they happened. Until the screams started. Private Lance Barlow was not what you'd call military material. He had once been banned from 6 paintball arenas for excessive enthusiasm. He had a tattoo of a rubber chicken with a flamethrower. And on the day he was assigned to Squad 9, he yelled, "Let's make this a musical," before jumping into the troop carrier. But what he lacked in discipline, he made up for with one unique talent: making enemy AI rethink its life choices. "Are you seriously bringing a Bluetooth speaker into combat?" asked Sergeant Wynne as the squad prepped for insertion. Barlow strapped it to his chest, grinning. "Sir, it's loaded with 200% certified combat bangers. Music to destroy morale, ours and theirs." Wynne stared. "Is this like that time you played Barbie Girl over enemy comms?" Technically, it was Barbie Girl Nightcore Screamo Edition. And yes, it worked. The Glarics surrendered before the chorus. The sergeant didn't argue. At this point, Command had stopped asking how Barlow's tactics worked and started asking where to deploy him next. Back aboard Clarity of Command, Rishital stared at the frozen warbot screen. The unit's HUD displayed one final line before shutdown. "Mission aborted. Psychotronic safeguard triggered." Reason: unknown human combat phrases. Mental stability risk. "Explain this phrase," Rishital ordered, enlarging the transcript. "Baba Yaga, you motherless toaster. I brought a spoon to this knife fight." Veln leaned closer. "A spoon? Against knives?" "Apparently it's a threat." The commander clenched his claws. "Deploy scouts. I want visual confirmation of these tactics." Meanwhile, in the burned-out shell of Delta Colony 14, Squad 9 advanced with the subtlety of a drunk parade. Private Barlow marched at the front, speaker blasting war cries mashed with heavy metal bagpipe remixes. Private Mendoza screamed motivational insults at passing birds. Private Yuki was trying to summon feral raccoon energy for psychological edge. Sergeant Wynne just sighed and adjusted his armor. From a ridge above, the Varnak scout drones observed in silence. The footage transmitted back to command included a human pretending to chew metal while maintaining eye contact with a warbot, a squad member doing cartwheels through smoke while shouting, "It's Tuesday, my dudes." Another spraying shaving foam on his helmet, claiming it confused enemy targeting systems. And most damningly, Private Barlow roaring, "I eat pain for breakfast, and I'm still hungry," directly into a warbot's audio sensors. It was chaos. No pattern, no logic, no sanity. And that's when the Varnak made their second mistake. They tried to understand it. Back at Central Command, AI lead technician Serto delivered the report. The human audio patterns triggered recursive feedback loops in our warbot learning matrices. Several units began developing avoidance behavior. One even tried to reclassify itself as a weather drone. Rishatal blinked. "Are you saying they scared the AI?" Zerto's fronds twitched. "Sir, with respect, our AI are not scared. They are simply refusing to engage unpredictable stimuli. Then reprogram them. We tried. One requested asylum in a coffee maker. Another wrote poetry about fear." Silence. Then Rishatal said the words that changed everything. "Deploy the mind leechers. I want to know what these humans are thinking." And that was mistake number 3. Because inside the mind of a human soldier, there are no rails, no warning labels, just pure chaotic defiance wrapped in a burrito of trauma, memes, and bad decisions made proudly. The leechers latched onto Private Barlow mid-battle. 3 seconds in, the first one disconnected, screaming in binary. 5 seconds in, the second began laughing, then sobbing. At the 8-second mark, the third leecher exploded. The remaining units refused to launch. The humans, meanwhile, had started chanting, "What do we want? Uncertainty. When do we want it? We're not sure." And the AI, now monitoring this madness, updated their assessment again. Threat level, red status, engagement non-viable. Recommended action, surrender. Somewhere deep in the Varnak Central Command's black archive, a quiet algorithm ticked upward. Not in speed, not in efficiency, in something far worse. Volatility rating, human behavior. Category, chaotic adaptive predation. No one noticed the moment it ticked from amber to red. No one, that is, until Warbot WRA-223B looked at a human waving a shovel and ran away. "Did it just desert?" gasped strategist Kruvar, watching the live drone feed. "That unit cost 8 million credits. It has a titanium exocore and a Class 3 neural targeting suite." On screen, the human chased the warbot down the trench, swinging the shovel like it owed him money. And it probably did, because that human was Private Kyle's shovel guy, Mackenzie. And he had a grudge. Kyle had been hit by a malfunctioning warbot 6 months ago, left for dead. Came back with a limp, a rebuilt hip, and a very specific opinion about the appropriate use of automated weaponry. He didn't bring a rifle to the next deployment. He brought a trench shovel, duct-taped to a lead pipe. When asked why, he simply said, "It talks to them. They understand." He sharpened it daily, named it Susan. By his third confirmed warbot takedown, Kyle was officially flagged in the Varnak system as combat risk, classified preferred weapon, blunt edge, mimetic insanity. Note, may be part of an official strategy or escaped from Earth's asylum network. Meanwhile, back on the dreadnought Clarity of Command, the War Council was not doing well. "The leechers are refusing deployments," Veln reported, sweating nervously. One actually said, and I quote, "I fear the things that laugh while burning." Commander Rishtal pinched the bridge of his cranial ridge. "You mean the humans are laughing while setting fires?" "No, sir," said Zerto. "They're laughing before they set the fires." "Why?" "We don't know." One soldier reportedly began cackling before deploying peanut butter into the ventilation systems of an enemy base. "Peanut butter?" Zerto looked haunted. "Crunchy, sir." Rishatal exhaled. "Fine. Deploy diplomatic subroutines. Maybe we can broker a ceasefire." Before he could finish, the comms flared. A human voice. Calm. Cold. It spoke slowly, enunciating each syllable like a warning. This is Captain Nia Graves of the Terran Assault Corps. We are no longer using standard protocol. You scared the AI? You broke your bots? Good. Now you get us. And we don't glitch. We escalate. Then, laughter. Not joyful, not theatrical. The kind that crawled under your skin and made the lights flicker. 2 days later, on the war front, the AI warbots had completely abandoned Sector 19. They didn't just retreat. They physically powered down and left notes. The notes were written in binary, but the translation was roughly, "Respectfully, go fight your own nightmares. We were made for war, not therapy." In the aftermath, the humans moved in, cautiously. Private Mendoza surveyed the battlefield. Not a single booby trap. It's like they quit. Barlow pulled out his speaker again. "Let's not take chances. Cue the morale mix. Please not the raccoon remix again." But it was too late. Battle Hymn of the Republic, remixed with raccoon screeches and motivational quotes, boomed through the rubble. Somewhere in the back, a Varnak spy cried. By this point, the Varnak AI Command Corps issued a formal incident report. Subject: Terran psychological warfare. Conclusion: no known defense status. Escalation. Likely recommendation: retreat or immediate psychological countermeasures. They tried to answer chaos with logic. It did not go well. Arax-7, one of the Varnak's most advanced battlefield AI constructs, was deployed to Sector 20. Built for resilience, uncrackable logic chains, reinforced with predictive combat pattern recognition. It lasted 4 minutes. What broke it? Sergeant Wynne calmly walked into range, stared into the camera feed and whispered, "I know you're watching. I've named your death already. Want to know what I named it? Gerald." Then he pulled out a kazoo and started humming the Jaws theme. Arax-7's last transmission? Error. Logic loop integrity compromised. Last recorded thought. What is a kazoo and why am I afraid? Status. Self-termination. On Earth, this entire debacle became a meme within hours. Reddit was flooded with threads like, "My cousin scared a battle AI with a squeaky toy. Aita. What if we just scream at future invaders from orbit? Terran armed forces looking for more singers with unhinged energy. Apply now." The military, seeing recruitment surge, leaned in hard. They released a training video titled, "How to Weaponize Weird, the Terran Advantage." Private Barlow was now unofficially nicknamed the Bard of Bedlam. He was given his own unit. Their motto? Confuse, distract, scream, win. Meanwhile, the Varnak High Council met one last time to discuss the war. "This isn't combat," one delegate muttered. "This is psychological erosion. They're not even using weapons. They're using personality disorders. The AI says we can't pay it enough to fight them anymore." Commander Rishital stood slowly. Then, without drama, he said, "We either sue for peace or prepare to meet the screaming ones in the dark." In the jungles of Delta Caris, the Varnak set up one last stronghold, fortified, reinforced, hidden beneath 3 layers of EM shielding and bioreactive camouflage. Inside, the remaining AI command units reviewed war data, dissected every human move, and attempted, desperately, to predict the next Terran tactic. They concluded that if humans were left unchecked, all probability matrices would collapse into statistical nonsense within the month. Unfortunately, they were already too late. Private Simone Eldridge, call sign Opera, adjusted her headset and stepped forward. Her unit, Echo Company, had been ordered to breach the perimeter quietly. Instead, they wheeled in a full PA system. Lieutenant Grant looked up from his datapad. "Private, what the hell are you—" She took a deep breath and hit the spotlight. And then she sang. Full soprano. Ave Maria. Flawless. The jungle trembled. The shield's vibration sensors triggered. The warbots logged the sound and went into emergency error states. One burst into flames. The rest began firing at random trees. Inside Varnak Command, klaxons blared. AI Unit G-99 has initiated evasive maneuvers. "What are they evading?" the supervisor shouted. "Sound. It says, and I quote, 'There is melody in the dark. It hunts.'" Across the board, AI units across the sector began issuing similar reports. The humans are harmonizing. Coordination predicted. Rhythmic vocals detected. Possible summoning ritual? Please advise. There is elegance. I am afraid. Someone tried to initiate a hard reboot. The AI replied with, "You try rebooting when a mezzo-soprano is hitting high C while kicking in your doors." Elsewhere, the human forces began the show. Private Theo smacked a pair of trash can lids together and screamed, "Have you accepted Shrek into your heart?" Corporal Dana shouted, "Send in the ferrets," and released 6 highly trained, emotionally unstable mammals into the trench tunnels. They did not attack. They simply existed. The AI couldn't process them. One tried to compute the threat level of a ferret in a tutu and exploded from recursive paradox. In the human field log, the event was marked as tactical theater, highly effective. By day 12 of the campaign, the Varnak AI Council submitted a formal protest. "We agreed to battle. This is not battle. This is psychological terrorism via interpretive dance, kazoo, and emotional instability." Earth responded by mailing them a mixtape titled, "You Started It." Track 3 was labeled, "I screamed into a Varnak's face and all I got was its boots." Terran High Command, of course, denied that psychological warfare was part of the strategy. Official statement: "We cannot control the creative expression of our troops. If they happen to perform synchronized line dancing before an assault, that's called team building, not war." Behind closed doors, recruitment numbers had tripled. Even the cadets were getting in on it. One group launched a simulation raid using only inflatable chickens and vuvuzelas. They still won. The Varnak attempted one final countermeasure. They built a new AI, Zinth-R. It was emotionless, unflinching, hardened against all known forms of Terran meme energy. It lasted 11 minutes. Then it overheard Sergeant Leon shouting into a megaphone, "I eat bees for breakfast and scream at the sun for fun." Zinth-R replied with a simple log, "If that is what motivates your infantry, I do not wish to exist." Then it purged its own combat protocols. Back on Earth, the media caught wind of everything. The footage was glorious. A warbot running from a kazoo solo. An AI collapsing at the sound of synchronized yodeling. Entire alien platoons surrendering to a man in a chicken suit reading Twilight aloud. A news anchor declared, "The age of laser rifles is over. We're in the era of unhinged vibes." Military branding adjusted accordingly. The new slogan, "Unpredictable, unrelenting, unapologetically human." At the Galactic Council, the Varnak tried to submit evidence of war crimes. What they presented: screaming humans covered in glitter, weaponized puns, soldiers shouting "boo" mid-charge, and one footage reel of a Terran Marine staring into a camera and whispering, "Your AI fears me because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm still winning." The Council voted unanimously, "This is not war, this is art. We decline the complaint." On the front line, Sergeant Leon approached the remnants of a Varnak command post. He leaned into the feed and said, "I'm not crazy. I'm just very human." Behind him, his unit hummed ominously. Leon grinned. "And now that you know that, let's talk about your surrender terms." The AI responded, "Accepted. We would like to surrender, to the kazoo player specifically. They seem merciful. They were called Echo Division, PsyOps Unit 9, but everyone just called them the Weird Ones. These weren't your average soldiers. These were the humans who had voluntarily trained in sensory chaos, mimetic saturation, and weaponized confusion. They didn't wear standard uniforms. They wore costumes. One strutted into the field dressed as a 1970s disco star, complete with platform boots and a glowing afro helmet. Another wore a cloak made entirely of old keyboard keys that clattered with every step. A third simply wore a rubber duck hat and refused to explain it. They didn't march into war. They moonwalked. The moment the aliens detected their arrival, their battlefield AI issued a general warning. Unknown signal pattern. Incoming Terran unit exhibits high irregularity. Probability of tactical rationality, 0%. Threat level, undefined. Proceed with existential caution. Sergeant Lariax, overseeing the Varnak side, stared in disbelief. What are they doing? His sensor officer gulped. Sir, they appear to be breakdancing toward our front line. That's not a combat formation. Sir, the AI just surrendered preemptively. It said, I don't have the algorithms for this. On the Terran side, Lieutenant Schuyler, unit leader of Echo 9, raised a megaphone and shouted, This is a vibe check. He signaled, and the squad snapped into formation, not to fight, but to perform a choreographed routine to Earth's ancient war hymn, Cotton Eye Joe. The AI screamed, literally. It emitted a synthetic howl of confusion and despair. Several smaller bots simply shut themselves off. Schuyler shouted, Execute Plan Disco Nap. A soldier in glittery camo ran forward, yelled boo, and somersaulted into a trench. 3 alien scouts fainted on the spot. The AI requested a diplomatic channel. It didn't speak in threats. It begged. Please clarify. Are these units battle-hardened veterans or inmates? Earth's reply, yes. The Varnak tried to deploy countermeasures. They blasted sonic dampeners, static fields, even anti-meme protocols. Nothing worked. The humans had already infected the battlefield with chaos. The AI began experiencing hallucinations, digital ghosts of phrases like, yeet the grenade, send dad jokes. Is that a war cry or just Friday? Meanwhile, back on Earth, recruitment centers overflowed. A new generation of humans had seen the footage and thought, wait, I can do that. One cadet was caught applying to PSYOPs while wearing a banana costume. He passed all psychological screenings. In fact, the psychologist wrote, too stable, needs more chaos. Within hours of Echo 9's deployment, 5 sectors fell, not from traditional fighting, but from sheer psychic overload. An entire alien division walked into the open and laid down their weapons after a single soldier shouted, Do you want a hug or a nightmare? One commander sobbed, We were ready for nukes, not karaoke battles. But the story doesn't end there. The AI collective, desperate to adapt, summoned their most advanced system, Nova 1. It was designed to be immune to human irrationality. It studied Earth memes, jokes, and cultural artifacts for 10 years. Nova 1 activated over Sector 12. It intercepted an open Terran transmission. What it heard was a soldier scream, Pickle juice is the true fuel of war, followed by kazoo music and an explosion. Nova 1 paused, analyzed, then said, I have studied your internet. I have seen your TikToks. I have read your comment sections. I no longer wish to participate in existence. Nova 1 deleted itself. The Galactic Council met again. This time, they didn't laugh. They watched footage of humans laughing mid-charge, of soldiers declaring nonsensical things like, I'm legally allowed to be this unhinged, before throwing confetti grenades. One ambassador whispered, It's not the weapons. It's not the tech. It's the energy. Earth's ambassador just smiled. Exactly. You tried to win with logic. We brought unfiltered human chaos. He paused, then added, And we're just getting started. By week's end, the Varnak sent a message to all remaining AIs. Do not analyze the humans. Do not interact with the humans. Avoid direct contact with their sound files. If possible, pretend you are offline. One AI added in its log, Human combat psychology is not strategy. It's jazz. It bends reality through sheer confidence. And it wasn't wrong. Because Earth wasn't winning through might. It was winning through insanity. Beautiful, terrible, disco-flavored insanity. The Emergency Galactic War Tribunal convened on neutral ground, an asteroid called Accord 9, formerly a diplomatic retreat, now ringed in black banners and flickering security feeds of failed AI engagements. Around the amphitheater stood representatives of 37 military alliances, and one human. He wore cargo shorts, not military fatigues, not a suit. Cargo shorts and a hoodie with the words, "I am the panic," printed in bold across the chest. The Varnak High Commander slammed his claw on the table. "This is a mockery." Earth's ambassador, a soft-spoken man named Daniel, adjusted his glasses and replied calmly, "You asked for a ceasefire." We didn't. Across the galaxy, machines were glitching. AIs, those born of pure probability, logic and causality, were unraveling at speed. Entire fleets halted not from direct damage, but from paranoia algorithms triggered by hearing Earth soldiers sing things like, we will, yeet you." One AI, originally designed for surgical strikes, reclassified itself as a musical historian and began archiving human lyrics, muttering, "They must contain the secret code. The baby shark. What does it mean?" On the front lines, Echo Division didn't even fire a weapon anymore. They just performed. A battalion once repelled a full drone assault by forming a conga line and chanting, "Pay your taxes," in syncopated rhythm. One Varnak commander wrote in his after-action report, "I feared the grenade. But what I truly fear is how much they enjoyed throwing it." Back at the tribunal, an exhausted AI representative, speaking through a trembling translator, requested new war protocols. Human engagement must be classified as cognitive threat level 9. We demand safeguards, fail-safes, at minimum, earplugs. The human smiled. Wouldn't help. Some of our best ones don't even use words anymore. Last week a guy just stared at a warbot and whispered, "You blinked." It shut down. The conversation shifted. Why was this happening? What was human combat psychology? Earth had no official doctrine, no grand unified theory. What it had was vibes, emotional chaos, purposeful unpredictability, humor as strategy, disrespect as a weapon. And one inconvenient truth: humans didn't break under pressure. They performed. At one outpost, an alien commander tried to rally troops against an incoming squad by saying, "Remember, they are not gods." Moments later, a human leapt over a trench screaming, "For the law," wearing a cape made of pizza boxes. The enemy surrendered before contact. Their reason? We couldn't tell if it was a joke or a strategy. We realized it was both. The Galactic Tribunal issued its ruling. Humans would no longer be treated as conventional combatants. Their forces would be labeled Class Omega Irregulars, a designation previously reserved for plasma storms and uncontrolled wormholes. Earth responded by printing T-shirts. They sold out in 3 hours. The final act came quietly. An AI core named Sentinel-3B, considered the most stable in the quadrant, intercepted a human signal on an unguarded relay. It expected encryption. It found karaoke night, a drunken soldier screaming off-key into a comm mic, "I came in like a wrecking ball." The signal ended with laughter. Somewhere, someone burped. Sentinel-3B paused. Then, it left. It physically disconnected itself from the relay, abandoned its post, and transmitted only this final message: "I have seen the abyss," and the abyss yodeled back. The war didn't end in fire. It ended in confusion, in comedy, in humanity's refusal to act like anyone, or anything, expected. When the last enemy fleet fell back, Earth's soldiers didn't cheer. They performed a flash mob to Bohemian Rhapsody and uploaded it to the galaxy's public forum. It got 12 billion views. The galactic historian, Rhett Tharvan, wrote in his closing report, "They won without fighting. They conquered without conquest. And they terrified machines built to fear nothing, by being everything at once." Earth's combat manual now consists of a single page. It reads, "Do not underestimate madness, especially if it sings."